Breezehome costs 5,000 gold and doesn't even have an enchanting table. Proudspire Manor runs 25,000 gold and makes you feel like actual royalty. This is every Skyrim player home tier list, from Worthless Shack to Dragonborn Palace. Jorrvaskr has stood in Whiterun since the companions dragged a chunk of Ysgramor's ship onto the plains and built a mead hall around it, and it costs you exactly 0 gold to sleep there. No purchase, deed, or mortgage. Just join the companions and a bunk is yours. No personal storage. Just you, a shared bedroom, and 12 werewolves who never leave. The free home that charges you in dignity. D tier. Dead Man's Dread is a pirate ship, an actual full-sized pirate vessel sitting inside a cave, which Bethesda somehow turned into a player home. That sentence alone should have made it the coolest property on this entire list. But then you try to live there. 3 loading screens separate you from the nearest city. The cave is dark, the ship is darker, and the whole thing carries the ambient energy of a forgotten dungeon cell nobody finished. No natural light, no crafting convenience, and navigating back to civilization every time you need to sell loot feels like a punishment. The concept? Absolute 10 out of 10. A pirate ship home is the kind of idea that makes you slam your desk and say, "Finally!" The execution delivered a damp cave aesthetic and the logistical nightmare of living 3 time zones from Whiterun. Incredible on paper, miserable in practice. C tier. Gallows Hall was apparently designed for a very specific Dragonborn, one who collects bones, hates windows, and has never once considered natural lighting as a lifestyle choice. It's an anniversary edition necromancer lair, complete with a bone forge that lets you craft actual skeletal followers. That's a genuinely deranged feature, and respect is due. You get a full dungeon aesthetic, display space for your darkest collectibles, and all the grim atmosphere Bethesda could pack into one address. But it never stops feeling like a dungeon. Every corridor looks identical to one. Every room feels like a loading zone somebody forgot to finish. You're not living here. You're squatting in someone else's abandoned murder basement and calling it interior design. The Bone Forge is genuinely cool. The rest is just dim hallways and quiet desperation. Great gimmick, 0 livability. C tier. Honeyside costs exactly 5,000 gold and sits right on Riften's waterfront, which sounds like a steal until you move in and realize the house has quietly decided to gaslight you. You've got a garden, a porch overlooking the canal, a bedroom, an alchemy lab, and enough storage to feel like a functioning adult. On paper, it's a solid mid-tier home with actual charm. Then the mannequins start wandering. Honeyside is notorious for its bugs. Items vanish from containers randomly. Mannequins relocate overnight, which sounds quirky until you walk in at midnight and one is standing directly behind the door. The layout can't decide if it's a cozy Riften cottage or a cluttered utility closet. It's somehow both, and neither particularly well. The thing is, it almost works. The waterfront setting is genuinely atmospheric, but almost doesn't store your Dragon Priest masks reliably. Charming address, haunted storage. C tier. Breezehome. 5,000 gold, 2-story Nordic timber frame, sitting in Whiterun's Plains district. The first home basically every Dragonborn ever owned. It's iconic. It's sentimental. It's the RPG equivalent of your childhood bedroom. And it doesn't have an enchanting table. Not one. You are the literal slayer of Alduin, defeater of ancient evil, and your house, fully furnished at 6,800 gold, couldn't fit an enchanting table anywhere in the floor plan. But wait, it gets better. If you want the alchemy lab, it replaces the children's bedroom. Want the kids? Gone is your potion setup. Breezehome forces you to choose between your family and your potions, which sounds dramatic until you realize that is exactly what it is. None of that matters when you first buy it though. You walk through that door at level 6, drop your iron armor on the floor, and feel like an absolute king. Then you hit level 20 and realize, Honeyside, the haunted mannequin house, actually edges it out on specs. the most beloved home in Skyrim, also objectively mid, B tier. Severin Manor, free, 0 gold, handed to you by the Raven Rock Council after completing the March of the Dunmer questline on Solstheim. And on paper, that sounds incredible. The manor sits in Raven Rock's heart, fully furnished, weapon racks, a dedicated armory room, multiple floors, and a Dunmer aesthetic you genuinely cannot find anywhere else in the game. The dark stone architecture is striking, the shelving is extensive, the storage is generous. But then you look around and remember, you're on an island. No children can move in, no spouse can follow you here. The interiors are windowless, cave adjacent, and permanently feel like a basement that got ambitious. Solstheim is a fantastic place to visit and an exhausting place to live. The most atmospheric free home in Skyrim, also stranded on a volcanic ash island with no family support and the lighting of a tax office. C tier. College quarters costs exactly 0 gold. Join the College of Winterhold, pass a basic entry test, and a bed is yours. Surrounded by enchanting tables, arcane expertise, and some of the most powerful NPCs in the game, it sounds like the ultimate mage setup. And then you see the room. 1 bed, 1 chest, a side table, tucked into the hall of attainment like a broom closet with academic aspirations. No display cases, weapon racks, or personality whatsoever. Free real estate. Also the square footage of a generous coffin. C tier. Golden Hills Plantation costs exactly 5,000 gold. Same price as Breezehome. Same price as Honeyside. But unlike every other home on this list, Golden Hills Plantation actually makes money. The farmstead sits northwest of Rorikstead, and once you hire workers and plant crops, it generates passive income automatically. You visit, collect gold, leave. That's it. The Dragonborn, legendary slayer of Alduin, running a vegetable operation like a medieval landlord. And somehow it works. Wheat, leeks, and potatoes quietly funding your next set of Daedric armor. The house itself is genuinely humble. Modest interior, farm aesthetic, 0 wow factor. It's not a palace. It's not even impressive. But it's the only home in Skyrim that pays you back instead of just draining your septums. A farmhouse that generates passive income. Bold financial strategy for someone who can shout dragons to death. C tier. Tundra Homestead costs 7,500 gold and sits right on the Whiterun Plains. Close to the city, no loading screen nonsense, and it comes pre-built with display cases, weapon racks, and solid storage the moment you walk in. And honestly, that sounds competitive. You're getting a standalone home with actual display infrastructure for less than most city properties. No construction required. No Hearthfire lumber runs. Just buy it, move in, done. But the thing is, it looks exactly like what it is. A box. A functional, adequately furnished, completely unremarkable box sitting on a flat stretch of tundra. No personality whatsoever. The Hearthfire estates you'll see later embarrass it on every visual metric while costing roughly the same. 7,500 gold for a storage unit with a door. B tier. Now we're moving up the atmospheric ladder because Nchuanthumz is doing something genuinely different. This is a dwarven ruin converted into a fully livable player home, earned through an Anniversary Edition quest rather than purchased outright. Steam pipes run through the walls. Dwemer gears tick in the background. The architecture is ancient brass and burnished metal as far as you can see. It also comes with a built-in Dwemer spider follower, either extremely cool or deeply unsettling, depending on your relationship with mechanical arachnids. No other home on this list delivers atmosphere this specific. This isn't generic Nordic longhouse number 11. This is a repurposed dwarven excavation site that somehow functions as a bedroom. You live inside a machine that predates recorded history and the decor still slaps. One of the most distinctive anniversary homes available. Niche appeal, but it earns every bit of it. B tier. Vlindrel Hall costs 8,000 gold, sits carved directly into Markarth's cliff face, and looks absolutely stunning from the outside. Stone walls, candlelit interiors, a city built into living rock. It's genuinely cinematic. It also comes with an alchemy lab, an enchanting table, and proper storage. This should rank much higher, but then you actually live there. The approach is a nightmare. Markarth is already a vertical labyrinth of staircases that hates your knees. Getting to Vlindrel Hall means climbing half the city every fast travel. And once inside, the layout is somehow more cramped than it looks. Low ceilings, tight corridors, rooms that feel designed by someone who'd never heard of furniture. Dramatic setting only carries a home so far when daily use feels like navigating a hostile mine. Gorgeous exterior, genuinely annoying to inhabit. A tier. Shadowfoot Sanctum costs exactly 0 gold. It's a reward for completing the Darkness Returns Thieves Guild questline, which you were probably doing anyway. And what you get is genuinely unhinged in the best way. A hidden underground entrance beneath Riften, thief-themed weapon displays, secret passages, an aesthetic so specifically tailored to sneak builds that it feels like Bethesda designed it with one exact character in mind and forgot everyone else existed. The Sanctum sits literally below the city. No loading screen faff, just a trapdoor, and suddenly you're in the most atmospheric rogue den in the game. Mannequin stands, lockpick displays, chests everywhere, compact, intentional, and dripping with personality. The thing is, if your character has never pickpocketed anyone in their life, this place makes 0 sense as a home. But for a stealth build, this is the one. B tier. Myrwatch, you earn this one. A quest, finish it, and a full mage tower near Morthal is yours. What you're walking into is genuinely impressive by Skyrim standards. Multiple levels, a dedicated arcane study, a gallery for displaying weapons, armor, and artifacts, a proper alchemy and enchanting setup, every crafting station a spellcaster needs, stacked inside one vertical tower without the usual compromises. The architecture sells it. Dark stone, ambient magical lighting, bookshelves deep enough to embarrass a court wizard. It looks like somewhere a real mage would actually live, not just sleep between dungeon runs. Bethesda looked at the College of Winterhold's sad little dormitory and decided somebody deserved better. The thing is, if your character swings a two-handed axe and has never opened a spell tome, none of this means anything. But for a pure magic build, Myrwatch is the fantasy. A tier. Myrwatch was built for scholars. Hendraheim was built for people who solve problems with a warhammer. This Anniversary Edition Longhouse is earned through combat. You clear the site, you claim it, no gold, no quest giver handing you a key, you just win. And the interior rewards exactly that energy. Weapon racks floor to ceiling. Trophy displays for every monster head you've collected. A full Nordic Great Hall aesthetic. Stone walls, mounted shields, fire pit center stage that actually matches the character who earned it. Every other home on this list is trying to be functional. Hendraheim is trying to be correct. For a pure warrior build, it's the most thematically honest square footage in the game. If your build has never touched a two-hander, this place is just a very dramatic storage unit. But if you swing first and loot second, this is home. A tier. Hjerim costs 12,000 gold, making it the most expensive purchasable city home in base Skyrim outside of Solitude. For that price, you get the largest city home by square footage in the game. Multiple wings, a proper armory, display cases, a wardrobe room, and mannequins that actually stay put. But before you can buy it, you have to solve a serial murder investigation. The Butcher questline isn't just flavor, it's load-bearing. There's a hidden room behind a false wall plastered with crime scene notes, body maps, and ritual material the previous occupant left behind. Dark lore baked directly into the architecture. Windhelm is already Skyrim's most atmospherically oppressive city, cold, gray, ancient stone. Hjerim fits that perfectly. It's not cozy, it's not charming. It's enormous and slightly unsettling, which sounds like a flaw, but is exactly what makes it memorable. The location is the one genuine knock. Windhelm is inconvenient to fast travel from and perpetually freezing in the ambient sound design. But you're getting Skyrim's biggest city manor with a murder mystery embedded in the floor plan for 12,000 gold. Somehow that's a deal. S tier. Dawnstar Sanctuary. You unlock this one by completing the Dark Brotherhood questline, the most gloriously unhinged faction story in the entire game, then dropping 5,000 gold on renovations. What does 5,000 gold buy you inside a coastal cave with a black door that requires a blood password to open? A bed, a torture chamber, alchemy and enchanting stations, a massive coffin in the corner that the previous residents apparently considered decor. This isn't just a creepy novelty. It's a fully functional home with solid crafting coverage, storage, and one of the most dramatically lit interiors in the base game. The black door alone, speak the password, or get consumed by darkness, generates more atmosphere than most homes manage across their entire floor plan. Obviously, it's useless if you murdered the Dark Brotherhood instead of joining them. That's your problem. But for anyone who walked the quest line, who survived Cicero, who watched the Brotherhood rebuild, this place carries weight that 5,000 gold doesn't come close to measuring. The best questline payoff attached to any home in Skyrim, by a comfortable margin. A tier. Bloodchill Manor, Vampire Castle, quest locked, and somehow it comes with full family support, meaning you can move your spouse and kids into a home that has a thrall dungeon in the basement. The quest drops you into a genuinely sinister scenario, an invitation to a remote manor that turns out to be a vampire trap. Survive it, clear it, and the whole castle is yours. Great hall, multiple coffin beds, a dedicated dungeon with caged thralls still in it, and crafting coverage that holds up against anything else on this list. This place doesn't just commit to the aesthetic, it is the aesthetic. Every other spooky home in Skyrim gestures at atmosphere. Bloodchill Manor delivers a vaulted stone great hall, torchlit crypts, and enough gothic architecture to make Dawnstar Sanctuary look like a garden shed. And then your children skip through the front door and ask if they can have a pet. Coffin Master Bedroom, Thrall Dungeon 40 feet from the kitchen. It functions as a completely legitimate Dragonborn home and as the villain lair you've always wanted, which sounds like a contradiction until you remember who you are. The most theatrically committed home in Skyrim, no notes.s. S tier. Windstad Manor sits in the Heljarchen marsh on Skyrim's creepiest coastline, foggy, isolated, and the only player-built home in the game with a functioning fish hatchery. You're building this from raw land near Morthal. Lumber, quarried stone, clay. The full three-wing estate supports an armory, greenhouse, and alchemy tower, making it the best hearthfire plot for any potion-focused build. The fish hatchery quietly stacks slaughterfish eggs and salmon for ingredient runs without leaving the property. Then there's the atmosphere. The other two hearthfire plots give you countryside and tundra. Windstad gives you dead trees, standing water, and fog that never clears. Apparently your family is fine with that. Full family support, all crafting stations, a unique food production feature no other buildable estate has, and an exterior that looks like something bad already happened here. Cozy if you redefine cozy. A tier. Heljarchen Hall sits in The Pale, which is basically Skyrim's way of saying, congratulations, you built your dream home in a wind tunnel. Same hearthfire formula, quarried stone, lumber, clay, but the exterior views here are genuinely the best of the three buildable plots. Mountains on every horizon, open tundra stretching out, and a grain mill that technically generates passive income if you actually remember to use it. 3 wings, full family support, all standard crafting stations. You can build the same armory greenhouse trophy room configuration here as the other plots. And unlike Windstad's perpetual fog and standing water, Heljarchen actually looks like a home someone would choose to live in. The thing is, It's also the coldest, most isolated location in the entire game. Your children will build snowmen here, voluntarily. Parenting choices noted. S tier. Lakeview Manor, Falkreath Hold, built on a lakeside plot that looks like someone at Bethesda actually tried. And this is the one. The home most players build first, rebuild on every new character, and quietly consider their actual house despite technically living in a video game. Same hearthfire construction system, quarried stone, lumber, clay, but the location does something. The other two plots never managed. Pine forest on 3 sides, a working lake out front, and enough ambient wildlife that your kids will adopt a fox within 20 minutes of moving in. It feels lived in before you've placed a single piece of furniture. The main hall supports a trophy room, armory, greenhouse, library, and full crafting wing. Family support, steward, housecarl, the entire domestic infrastructure. Bethesda apparently agreed it was special because Lakeview became the unofficial face of Hearthfire marketing, the one they showed in screenshots, the one that sold the DLC. It's not objectively the biggest, most dramatic, or most expensive home in Skyrim. It's just the one you keep coming back to. Make of that what you will. S tier. Proudspire Manor costs 25,000 gold. That is the single most expensive purchasable home in base Skyrim, 5 times what you paid for Breezehome, more than twice Hjerim, and enough gold to buy every other city home in the game simultaneously and still have change left over. And what do you get for it? You get Solitude, the capital, the seat of imperial power in Skyrim. Proudspire sits 2 streets from the Blue Palace, meaning your neighbors are literally the High King's Court. It has the largest footprint of any city home in the game, multiple floors, a dedicated children's bedroom, full family support, a housecarl, and enough display and storage space to finally retire the pile of dragon bones you've been hoarding since Helgen. The prestige address is real. Walking out your front door in Solitude, hearing guards, merchants, and the Bard's College down the road, it actually feels like the Dragonborn made it, like you earned the capital. And after everything this list has covered, from a shared bunk in Jorrvaskr, to a pirate ship in a cave, to a vampire castle, to a hearthfire lake house, spending 25,000 gold on a Solitude Manor feels less like a purchase and more like a statement. The most expensive home in base Skyrim, the most prestigious address, the definitive endgame flex. Obviously, S tier. Subscribe to the channel for more tier lists like this one. See you next time.